So where did you come up with this idea? How did you figure this out?
Sure. So we were probably like a lot of Amazon operators trying to understand what is the ROI from like a top of search dominance, right? And Amazon released some new data and we said, okay, like, in theory, because usually top of search dominance is expensive, right? If you had to pay that amount for every single conversion, you probably wouldn't do it in a lot of cases. And so what we did is we looked at Amazon search query reports. So it came out probably a little over a year ago. And what they tell you in the search query reports is the total number of clicks to your brand from that search term.
Yes.
And so that, in theory, total clicks from search should be a sum of paid and unpaid. And
Right.
so what we did is we looked and we said, okay, let's look at how many clicks come from search. And then let's look at how many paid clicks are. Now, granted, it's not exactly one for one, right? You can have 2 paid clicks for 1 session and so forth. So, but what we found was that the paid click number was almost always more than 90% of total clicks from search.
So the search query performance data that shows the total clicks is almost 90% of the paid search.
It's almost 90% paid because we looked at our ad console and said, how many times on this term have we clicked in this month? And that number of clicks was nearly as high as the number of clicks from search. Now, there was another lens that we looked at too, which is even a little bit more interesting, which is we looked at the total clicks from search compared to total sessions period. Right? This is much easier to compare.
Yes.
And we found on average, it was less than 50%, in most cases, less than a quarter was actually from search.
So you added up the search query performance clicks and you compare that to, I'm assuming, the business reports, right?
Total business reports, sessions. Yeah.
Okay. So, and you are saying that that's less than half?
Less than half, in most cases, less than a quarter was actually from search.
Less than a quarter. So, okay. So let's work this backwards. So search query performance is supposed to be the total for those keywords.
For those keywords.
That are they give you only how many? 1,000, right?
Yep. And by the time you get to 1,000, the volumes tend to be pretty small, right?
Yes. So that means that there are 1,000 keywords that add up to your total clicks generated by those keywords. And
exactly.
Then you compare that against the business reports total sessions, it's less than a quarter. That means that there is more traffic coming from somewhere else.
Somewhere else. Has to be somewhere.
Okay. Now, those keywords that are in the search query performance, the 1,000 keywords, the clicks also include the paid, right?
Yep.
Okay. And you also found that the paid clicks are almost the same as the search query performance clicks.
Yep. There's very small difference between the two.
Okay. So therefore, you are concluding that if what search query performance shows is the total traffic across keywords, and my keyword clicks are almost the same as paid, but I actually have a lot more sessions being logged, they have to be non-keyword specific.
They got to be non-search.
So therefore, they must be coming from something else. That's how you are concluding this. Okay.
Yeah, that was our conclusion, and I can share a little bit more nuance of like some of the case studies that we looked at this. So a lot of them were less than a quarter. The ones that had the highest percentage of traffic from search were brands that were bigger brands that dominated a particular category with a very large category term. So my theory is if you are the prevailing brand on a very large category term, I'm talking like top 500 most searched or top 1,000 most searched, there's actually a chance that you're getting a larger share from search, but that's even a fraction of the brands that we work with. It's yeah, for the vast majority of folks selling, it's just like search just isn't that big unless you're in that top 500 or top 1,000 keywords and winning most of it.
So, you know, there is something called self-fulfilling prophecy. So I wonder if the clients that you are handling have this kind of an operation, because this is another thing. So if you know this is what's happening, and that's where you put your efforts, and that's ultimately what you're going to see in your search query performance and paid.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. What I will say is we did look at some brands that we weren't actively managing, so it wasn't just our strategy. Granted, we tend to work in our categories, which are like fast moving consumer goods, consumables, food and bev, supplements, that kind of stuff. And our strategies tend to be quite diversified in terms of spend. Like we're not shy in doing keyword bidding. We don't pull back from it by any means, and we can get into what do you do from this insight. But yeah, we're still bidding on these keywords, in some cases even winning top first page on these keywords. But this was still the result.